Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. I am absolutely delighted that you have found me and are spending some time with me today. It is January 3rd, 2020. 2020 definitely feels like a year that has sort of been long awaited, in part because it's, of course, a U.S. presidential election year, and that has been I think really on the top of many, many people's minds since, 2016. So, so that's where we're at today. Before I get started, I want to just take a moment to once again thank you ever so much for your support of this channel. It has been amazing to me, and I feel incredibly blessed to have the amazing viewers and subscribers that I do. You have made this channel the success that it is, and I am incredibly, incredibly grateful for that. As I sort of alluded to, I am going to be launching a second YouTube channel. Its tentative title right now, and I don't think it should change, is Soulprint Insights. And that video is going to have like nothing to do with politics and everything to do with spiritual growth, staying centered, perhaps looking at things just from a slightly different angle or perspective to help you find your center. So I'm looking forward to sharing this new channel with you. It should be launching on Monday the 6th, and you may see it surfacing in YouTube over the course of the weekend with the video that I did last week called Guidance and Hope. If you enjoyed that video, I encourage you to go to the new channel, Soulprint Insights, and of course, do your magic, like, subscribe, share, comment. Everything that you guys do that is amazing, that creates this channel and the new one, I, of course, encourage you to do, and I humbly thank you for your support, not only of this channel, but I believe of the new channel too. So, oopsie, I'm throwing cards around. So let's take a look at where we're at today. Hang on. Let me see what, oh my. Okay. So this is what flew out of the deck. The Two of Swords. So what I want, a couple things I wanted to take a look at today. Part of it is Trump. Okay. 2020 has ushered in a very, very different kind of energy than perhaps he dealt with in the last certainly year or two. This energy is more about tearing down what doesn't work to make room for what does. It is about creating a space to create a forward movement and motion that is beneficial for more, where people's voices are heard more clearly, where almost there is a reckoning. There's going to need to be some explaining going on and some understanding going on. And so I just want to take a look at that. But in particular, I'm wanting to look at that because of the whole nasty, messy situation that has now been created with Iran. So, he kind of blew up a couple people. They were kind of important, and this is causing a huge problem, huge. And so now, as a result, the United States is sort of on a higher alert. People are saying that literally this morning, the world is a far dangerous place than it was even a couple days ago. And so I want to take a look at that and the ramifications for that, because I think that it was a decision made in haste, and I think it was a decision made, frankly, to try to support or solidify relationships with Israel. And I don't have the feeling that it's actually going to be beneficial for the United States. Okay, so I have a question. Come on down. Okay, so let us take a look at Donald Trump and the energy surrounding him as the long-awaited year and decade of 2020 have now come into being. How is that sitting with him, and what can we expect? Here we go. Trump, 2020 energies, current state. Trump, 2020 current. Trump, 2020 current. Okay. Yeah. So the administration is trying to, and will continue to try, to sort of paint what has gone on with Iran as something to be celebrated, as something that is wonderful, is something that all the people are completely behind Trump on. The reality is not that. The reality is that once again, because Trump is not very smart and bombastic, which strikes me as a very scary combination if you think about it, he has once again put the United States in a position where their hands are tied and they're under attack and they don't have a lot of maneuverability. And the judgment coming down on them is harsh. I mean, when Netanyahu is the guy who supports this and thinks you're wonderful, that has to tell you something about the standing in your world. Allies are being very guarded and very reserved, particularly European ones, and I understand Australia, are being very, very reserved about what this has done, and they are not singing Trump's praises. And certainly the Democrats are not singing Trump's praises. They are yelling and screaming because this was not sort of sanctioned as it should have been by Congress. And it has now created a really lovely, lovely talking point. And for Democratic hopefuls who are trying to win that nomination, the whoever has experience and actually responds to this as if it was serious and significant, and there is now an awareness that fixing this is going to be so much bigger and larger than it was. When Trump took office, Iran was honestly not really much of a problem, and now he has turned it into a walking disaster. And somewhere along the way, you're going to see not only the Democrats who are going to kind of benefit, if you will, from this really terrible move and strategy that has been undertaken, but you're also at the bottom of it at some point going to see that there were some significant benefits to Trump and the administration. Now, I'm not saying they were actual benefits as much as they believed that there would be benefits. So that's kind of going on there. You know, once again, Trump is, in some ways, he's almost like trying to steal the thunder, right? What he's doing is he's trying to shift the conversation away from the impeachment, the stalemate, the stuff going on in the courts. I mean, right now, as we speak, there's the whole thing going on with Don McGahn and whether or not he should be forced to testify. So there's a lot going on that really doesn't bode well for Trump. And Trump, in his bubble of delusion, feels as if, or felt as if, this was going to be a strategically beneficial thing for him, and I don't actually see that working to his advantage here. This is very quickly becoming my card that represents strong women in politics or in legal areas. And so in this instance, you're actually looking at Nancy Pelosi really, really pushing back on this. And so she is not, if there's one thing that Pelosi has proven, it is that she is remarkably good at juggling several balls at the same time. So even though she can go after Trump for the whole situation as it is currently unfolding with Iran, she can also keep the balls in the air pertaining to impeachment and pertaining to Trump's missteps. She is very well able to juggle. And we are seeing her truly in her stride these days. I mean, she has the power. She is standing in it, and she is making it work for the benefit of many. And so it's going to be interesting to continue to watch her as she moves kind of through, what's going on. So let's sort of zero in on how Trump is actually coping with the new energy of 2020. And so this is what we see when we focus in on Donald Trump. He becomes more and more nervous and more agitated about the fact that there are things that are still hidden that could very, very easily start to come out. And certainly if the courts continue to rule against him in a wide swath of areas, he's starting to recognize that he actually could seriously be in trouble. And, it is astounding to many that he continues to do what he does and say what he does, and he continues to get away with it. But his star is sort of diminishing. The hope and the promise is starting to, some of his supporters, in fact, many Republicans are really coming to a place where they've honestly just had enough of this guy. Now, I'm not talking about that Trump base, that 25% of people who, no matter what, are going to support him. And I don't know if any of you have seen this, and I got to tell you, I don't know that it's actually true, although it did show up on a news website. Apparently, there was a statement made by Donald Trump that basically said, I could feed my supporters shit sandwiches and they would eat them. Now, for his own soul's sake, I really hope that actually isn't accurate. But if it is, it gives you a clear indicator of how desperate he is becoming to hang on to what he sees as his great promise and great opportunity. That's not working so well for him. And you see he is just now starting to actually understand some of the ramifications of what he is doing. The first thing I heard this morning when I sort of checked with my phone was that the Dow has dropped something like 350 points already because, of course, this puts oil in jeopardy. So you can all understand that gas prices are going to go up because this is a move that Trump felt was necessary and vital for who knows why. Yeah, this is, honestly, this is kind of about favors. Some of the stuff that he's doing is literally for the support of Israel because he seems to believe that they are a very staunch and strong ally, and he is still determined to, somehow create some sort of a long-term and workable solution in that area. And the political unrest that's going on there. Unfortunately, he's got Kushner taking the lead on this. And so that's not going to really go anywhere. But honestly, there are more things going on and more things that Trump is going to do that really boil down to him needing to pay back favors or get on, somebody's right side. And so again, you can really expect more of that kind of irrational, crazy behavior from him. And so now we have the 5 and 7 of Swords both sitting here. And so it indicates that Trump is trying to walk away with the spoils, but his supporters are walking away from him, okay? He is actually losing support in ways that he does not even recognize or comprehend, and in many ways that have not even been clearly seen, okay? But trust me, things are deteriorating under his feet here. And again, his way of handling it is twofold, right? It is trying to strengthen his relationship with people that he ought not to be strengthening his relationship with. Start there. And by, of course, purposely twisting the truth to make it palatable for his own personal and private agenda. Lots of partnerships. Oh my goodness, lots of them. And, money. Oh, here comes that 2 of Swords. So what this is talking about literally is the fact that there are some really difficult decisions that are going to be made. And it's not just with Trump. It is with the Senate. It is with people who follow him. And frankly, it is with the Democrats and how they handle this. It is decisions made by Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden and Mayor Pete Buttigieg. So they have to start making decisions about how they are going to react and respond to some of the stuff that is now going on, because Trump has literally ratcheted up the flashing red light, okay? He has created a situation that is actually going to prove dangerous, and they're not going to be able to defend their actions no matter how hard they try or how they try to twist it. Because again, the energy of 2020 does not support his agenda, and it doesn't support his behavior. And what has been tolerated for 2 or 3 years is not going to be tolerated going forward. And you know what? You literally can expect more lashing out from him. You can expect him to get more verbal and ranting and raving. And I actually think that you may very well start to see a little bit of support drifting away from him within his own party. And so that's going to be interesting to see, because, he really relies very heavily on everybody falling into line. But there are points in time where his actions are so dangerous and really so outside of the norms that people start to pull away, because they can't support what he does and how he behaves and still defend and support him. So you're going to see some pulling away. It's going to be very, very subtle. Don't expect any big, huge declarations, but it's almost like the sand under his feet is starting to really shift, and it's not shifting in, his favor. More and more, he is going to find himself literally left out in the cold by his own party, by the people that he turns to and looks for support. You're actually, I think, especially in the month of January, you're going to see a real pulling away, like where Trump and his government officials, that's the way I want to say it, right? The Senate, the House, Republicans, some of his own administration. you're going to see that there is a pulling apart of the two. It's not going to be huge, as I said, but there is going to be this real shift in energy where people are getting to a place where they're like, you know what, I can't defend it anymore. I don't even have a way to sort of defend this. And the misinformation campaign that is going to go on in the month of January is going to make everything that has gone on up until now pale in comparison. It is going to be just a full-time job trying to keep fact and fiction sort of separated. So you can, again, anticipate that. But it's, as I have said before, this is not the time to throw your blanket over your head and say, I just can't take anymore. This is the time to actually start paying attention and start, being active in whatever way that means for you, whether that is protest or I was going to say letter writing, which tells you absolutely how old I am, sending emails, phone calls, that kind of thing, to sort of really let your views and your opinions be known, and to let your government officials know that government officials had better start changing their attitude and their approach, because they have frankly self-sacrificed more than they should have, and their constituents will take away their prize if they don't. So, you got the world watching, and the world often symbolizes the end of one cycle and the beginning of another, or the end of one situation and the beginning of another. And in this case, literally, it means that there is an end coming for the way Trump has behaved, and a new cycle is starting up. And the new cycle is going to be less tolerant of his theatrics and his lies and the insanity. And there is going to be almost like a leveling out of energy a little bit, so that it just feels as if the two extremes are just starting very, very, very slowly, okay? Like slowly, like glacier slow. But there is this sort of very small creeping movement of the two sides kind of coming, not together, but at least taking little steps towards each other. Literally almost as a way to not only protect and defend themselves, but to protect and defend the country. And again, there's so much going on behind the scenes that we simply are not privy to. And frankly, I think that even the best of the best intuitives really don't have a good handle on. There's just a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. And over, time, we are going to get some clarity on what that looks like. The government is very busy behind the scenes, busier than we kind of think they are. But not so busy so that whatever there is going on is being public, okay? Everything is still very, very much behind the scenes. And more, everyone is struggling to understand and find a balance with Trump and his delusions, which are only going to become bigger and more amplified as the energy of 2020 really takes hold. Okay. So again, a lot of secrets, a lot of greediness, a lot of people trying to keep things secret, a lot of people trying to keep documentation secret, messaging secret. Could this pertain more directly to the Don McGahn situation? Sure. Could it also pertain more directly to the fact that just over the last couple of days, there was a huge dump of information when a bunch of emails pertaining to the whole Ukrainian situation got released. So that also is not looking so good for him. And ultimately, he brings upon the end of the way he knows his life by his own hand, okay? By his own doings and actions, words, deeds. He has created his own ending, if you will. Yeah. So, honestly, this is just kind of cute the way it came to me, okay? So when it comes to Trump and his emotions and moving forward with his emotions, well, everybody around him urges caution. With the Knight of Swords, Trump just blasts forward and with absolutely no regard at all for the consequences, no regard. He doesn't take, there, of course, my trump card, one of my trump cards is the Fool. He doesn't take any into consideration anything that has to do with how this is going to unfold, what's going to happen as a result of this, what the implications and ramifications are. Completely oblivious to him, okay? He doesn't consider that because he is so transactional. He only cares about this moment and how it looks in this moment. And so yeah, that's not going to work out so well for him, and he ultimately is going to be faced with some real disappointment that he's going to have to just walk away. And you've got a lot of infighting and friction going on behind the scenes. People are starting to recognize that they can't keep doing this. The truth is getting reduced to something that is almost unrecognizable. And that needs to change and shift. And here comes the Tower, and there comes the Ten of Swords, and here comes the Page of Cups. So again, his juvenile behavior, his inability to control his emotions, everything that makes him who he currently is in this unstable moment. There you have it. You've got the Ten of Swords coming down, and these swords are, you know, in some decks, the Ten of Swords are sort of, they're not touching the body. He is impaled here, okay? There is no saving that. So here comes the Tower. And this is the thing, right? I as I said those words, here comes the Tower, I realized that I have said those words many times. And frankly, the Tower keeps coming. And I think this is part of what we're going to want to sort of recognize and realize as 2020 unfolds and as what's going on with Trump unfolds. I long have said, and others have too, that Trump's demise is going to be, you know, death by 1,000 cuts. And this is literally what you're seeing. You're seeing Tower moment after Tower moment after Tower moment. And that ultimately is going to be what sort of brings this whole situation with him kind of to an end. Okay. So, once again, I thank you so much for your support of this channel. I am booking private readings, if you're interested in one of those, into January. So there's still a lot of availability, in part because it's right after Christmas and people are sort of reorganizing. But certainly if you're looking for a reading, even into February, please let me know. The information is in that box. And I once again thank you for the tremendous support for this channel. And I ask that if you are interested, you look for the Soulprint Insights channel. And you may see it over the weekend in its sort of infancy, but the official launch at this time is projected to be Monday. Until then, take care, be well, and I will see you soon. Bye.